I don't usually ignore callers. They were popping in my ear. Jesse Ventura is scheduled to be on next Thursday. I want to get him on now, like tomorrow. So call Tyrell. He's the best way. I got his home number. I got his wife's cell phone, but I'm not going to call those. Just call Tyrell and say, hey, call in the favor. I'm sure Jesse will be on TV tonight, but I want to get him on here tomorrow, ASAP. Call Tyrell for me right now, okay? Because they say they'll do me favors for me, and I've done a lot for them. I want to get Jesse on ASAP. AP reports they've just awarded $1.8 million in Jesse Ventura's defamation suit. There it is. Verdict reached in Ventura defamation suit. St. Paul, Minnesota, the attorney for American Sniper author Chris Kyle's estate announced today a verdict has been reached in Jesse Ventura's defamation lawsuit. I will preface this, and it goes on again. Where's the part? The guys were just telling me in my ear about the $1.8 million. I want to get the AP one because that's one put out basically by their lawyer. But I'll read it during the break and come back and give you more details. On Monday, the jury deliberating the Jesse Ventura defamation lawsuit informed Judge Richard Kyle that they were deadlocked and didn't expect that it would change. He told them in a firm but friendly gathering to go back in and give it one more shot. And when we come back, I'll give you the verdict. They were telling me that in my ear. We'll double check that. I just called Ventura's people, and they said he's on a 2-day golf trip, and it's told him he refuses to do any interviews, regardless if the jury came back. He's obsessed with golf and surfing. But that they said they would call him for me and see if he can come on tomorrow. I'm sure he will. He was scheduled actually next Wednesday. But, you know, I'm sad for the wife of Chris Kyle, but I'm also glad for Jesse Ventura. Because Jesse Ventura did not ever say he was glad that Navy SEALs died, and he was not knocked out. He was there for a commencement speech on record at a bar owned by one of the most famous Navy SEAL trainers. And he has them all as witnesses that no confrontation happened, nothing went on. And Chris Kyle was clearly hired in a black op disinformation campaign, for best I know, to lie and defame Jesse Ventura so he can't run for president down the road, regardless of what you think about him. And to try to throw him out of the Navy SEAL underwater demolition team society. That's been going on. And Ventura has talked to the family, talked to all of them. He told them, look, you retract it, I won't sue you. But I've never met you. You better stop it. Imagine if someone said that you were glad Navy SEALs were dead and that they deserved to die and that you'd been knocked out for saying it and none of it happened. This is how you defame people. And I was the one that told Jesse Ventura when he was in Mexico. I'm the one that got a hold of him. They waited till he drove right over the Mexican border in his RV in the Baja, knowing it took 2 days. When he crossed the Mexican border, they announced it. And again, it's bigger than Jesse Ventura. It's the anatomy of a psychological operation. With News Corps, publishing the book, putting it out, Bill O'Reilly, all of them, about the coward Ventura wanted SEALs to die. And he got knocked out for saying it. And the hero, Chris Kyle, did it. It just wasn't true. And then what happened to Chris Kyle when Ventura started winning his case? I'm not even allowed to say how much Ventura, last time I talked to him off air, had already spent. But it's an unbelievable amount of money. Let's just say this. He's not going to probably basically get any money from the $1.8 million settlement. The media spun it and lied and said, how dare Jesse Ventura want to ruin a widow? There's an insurance policy with News Corps. She will not pay $1 to Jesse Ventura. But hiding behind a woman, the people that pulled this shenanigan off and told Chris Kyle to do this need to know that they have now been exposed and defeated. And if they try to appeal it, I have no doubt that they're going to lose, because you can't have a public figure come out and say that someone said, I love it that Navy SEALs are dead, and then that you knock them out, designed to defame in the military community, try to kick him out of his societies, kick him out of his culture. This is like saying Martin Luther King was a secret Ku Klux Klan member and claiming you saw Martin Luther King in a Ku Klux Klan outfit and you're a credible peer. It'd be like if Martin Luther King's brother came out and said he saw him in a Ku Klux Klan outfit. I mean, Martin Luther King would have to sue him. It's just a fraud. It's a lie. And I told Opie and Anthony at the time, they called me that next day after Ventura had been on my show a Sunday. Right after I told him on that Sunday, he came on my show and discussed it. We ought to, for the nightly news tonight, go get that Sunday radio interview when Ventura was on Skype with us. And when he was saying it's totally untrue and he's going to get his name back. If you could have only heard Jesse Ventura when I told him and his wife on Skype, it was crystal clear audio. I'm not even going to repeat what Jesse did when I told him. And again, you can say what you want about Ventura. He's a real guy. That's why I respect him. That's why they always say he's not real and he's a fake, because all he is like a good old boy from Minnesota. And again, the reason this case is important to me is justice. They can come out and say something horrible about me, folks. They could set me up in 100 different ways. And I need people to come to my aid when that happens, okay? They could try to set up Matt Drudge or Joseph Farah or Ron Paul or Rand Paul. You know, they had 3 different cases. I should do a whole report on this. It's so important. When Rand Paul beat the Republican blue blood in his Kentucky Senate primary campaign, and then Mitch McConnell switched from trying to defeat him, the other senator, with money to, you know, working with him. Because Rand said, I'm going to expose you as not going for another conservative candidate if you don't knock this off. And then they sent out Democrats dressed up in literal hayseed outfits, overalls, to say, I don't like Mexicans and N-words, and hold up signs. And the national news ran with it. And I said to the listeners, I said, you got to go use a Google image search on this guy. I bet money it's a Democratic operative, and it turned out in every case they were. They should have all been sued. I used to go out for land rights rallies and segment rallies. They'd have Klan guys show up that were clearly Jewish. I mean, the classic Jewish features, and I'd say, you're from the Southern Poverty Law Center ADL. They'd get mad and run off. Like, we've got those videos somewhere. Guys that look like rabbis or something in Klan outfits. I mean, this is what the left does, ladies and gentlemen. And again, the left-right paradigm is false when you get outside of it, but within it, it's a real issue. And the sky's the limit. I mean, they could have somebody that looks like me go paint swastikas on a black church or something. I didn't do it. Rand Paul didn't do it. If they pull me over and plant drugs on me, I don't use drugs, folks. I have an extremely clean lifestyle other than drinking some occasionally and tobacco products, which I haven't done in 5 years. And I eat too much sometimes. And the reason I'm going off on this jag here before I go to your calls is because this affects me. I live under this. I mean, I've been out there, and I knew it was a hit piece within 30 minutes because I was already getting calls. It was already on national TV. I'm at the DNC covering Obama. They've got anarchists on me who are hitting me in the back and stuff when no cameras are around, trying to get me to beat them up, with cops waiting to arrest me across the street at the Denver Mint, the Federal Reserve Mint. And these people that later left with Michelle Malkin would get behind me and scream, kill Michelle Malkin. And then it was on national radio, USA Today the next day, Extra that night, CNN within an hour. The end of Alex Jones's career. He went up to a little lady and said to the crowd, let's kill her. What a coward. And they had talking points on national radio shows. I'm not going to say the name. And the Dallas Morning News. I made a bunch of newspapers retract and TV retract. The Dallas Morning News writer who also hosts Rush Limbaugh's show sometimes, he told me in emails, he said, I've never retracted nothing. And I graciously didn't sue him. I could have gotten a defamation. I could have won a lawsuit. But, you know, I had to move on. And it wasn't as defaming as the Ventura thing because it wasn't publicized as much. But they got photos with AP of me yelling at her when she was saying I was a liar because the Marines were throwing puppies off cliffs, and she said online that I was a liar. It was a robot dog. And I said, you know what? That was a real dog, and I don't appreciate you saying I'm a liar. And everybody was yelling at me, so I was yelling back at her. And so they had people stand behind me who later left with her saying that I said kill her. I produced the video, stayed up, got it online, and forced retractions. Again, these are the operations they run against us, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, for God's sakes, they've been trying to break my family up. I've been married 12 years. They've been trying to break that up all along with all sorts of behind-the-scenes operations. So I just want the public to know, man, bad guys run the government, okay? I've been there. Dan Bongino, perfect record, Secret Service, ran foreign operations, very senior, rising star, handsome, smart guy, former New York police officer. I mean, they're breaking in his house. They're harassing his kids. They're doing all sorts. He doesn't want to mention it on air and give them the attention. He just said, I got a gun and I'm ready to break people's necks on the air. He just said, let me catch who's doing it. And I don't even want to talk about the stuff I've gone through because I'm not trying to scare you folks, but people need to understand how real this is. There are good people at the mid and low levels. Most of them are good. But the globalists on top are trying to convince all the underlings and mid-level to go along with the lies and be part of dirty tricks, and you'll get hung out to dry. My gut tells me that that so-called PTSD Marine that killed Chris Kyle out at that luxury facility, do you think anybody buys that? If I'm ever at a shooting range and they claim some PTSD person shoots me in the head, don't believe it. Chris Kyle had outlived his usefulness, and I give my condolences to his wife who's being manipulated and others. And I tell her, I'm sorry that your husband was basically executed to cover up the black op on Ventura. But this black op on Ventura, if it ever all comes out, is the type of thing that could bring down the system. Certain type things can capture the imagination of people. And I saw how they executed the whole Ventura operation. They're scared of him. That's why he needs to run for president. Not that he's even right on several issues. He's real, though, and that's why they don't like him. And he's just sick of it. He's not a narcissist. He doesn't want to be in the spotlight anymore. He said, I'm just riding off in the sunset, Alex. But he shouldn't ride off in the sunset because that's why they did the Chris Kyle thing. Alex Jones here for Infowars.com. We're going to be intensifying our efforts to awaken free humanity to the scourge of the globalist in the month of July. And starting this July 4th, we are going to slash prices in a celebration of true Americana, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence on all of the Made in America products that you will find at madein1776.com or InfoWarsStore.com. We're talking about Made in America belt buckles in brass and nickeled brass that state it loud and proud. Molon Labe. That's why we have the best-selling Made in America men's and women's Molon Labe Infowars.com shirts. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a win-win. You vote with your dollars. You support the most hardcore organization out there for promoting true ideas of libertarianism, constitutionalism, basic human empowerment. But more importantly, you get T-shirts and belt buckles so you can meet like-minded people. So you have a conversation starter with friends and family and coworkers. We are reaching out to each other. And you also throw it in the face of the anti-gunners and the rest of the parasites out there that you're a free man and woman, and that you're not going to be a slave, that you're not going to be intimidated to shut up by their tyranny that they call political correctness. That's why in the month of July, we have got giant specials on everything at madein1776.com. But to expand the InfoWar, we're offering the biggest special in the history, 13 years of PrisonPlanet.tv, our multimedia platform. We're offering the equivalent of more than 5 months free right now when you get a membership at PrisonPlanet.tv, and you get 11 memberships that can be used with the same username and passcode so you can share it with friends and family. Now is the time to fund the war bonds. Now is the time to fund the InfoWar. Now is the time to get aggressive. Now is the time to double down. Now is the time to realize you are the people that made the InfoWar so successful and one of the leading lights worldwide against tyranny. You don't stand behind us, you stand right beside us, and I salute all of you on this July 4th, 2014, and going forward in the month of July and onward. This is about freedom worldwide and that desire for human dignity and self-determination that beats in the human breast. We are brothers and sisters together in the true spirit of liberty and the animating contest of liberty. And so I quote in closing the great Thomas Jefferson, that I have sworn on the altar of God resistance against every form of tyranny. And never forget, if you are watching or listening to this transmission, you are the resistance.